Welcome to the Love Ministries podcast, a place where we share thoughts, insights, and experiences from the mission field. Welcome back to the Love Ministries podcast. We're excited to bring you the episode today. Got some cool stuff going on, got some cool announcements to share, got some updates on ministry, and I've got the original podcast team back together for the first time in a long time. Several of our episodes have been remote lately, and so it's just one or two of us. And so I'm here with
Brittany. Hi.
And Julia.
And so you noticed that our podcast introduction for years said, I'm Eric, I'm Brittany, and I'm Julia.
And we're the Love Ministries team.
And so we had to change it a little bit for a few reasons. We have more team members than just us three than we did when we first started. And so we're the OGs, been together for a long time. And then also there's going to be some changes coming to the ministry and the way that we function on the day-to-day and what God is leading us to do. And so I don't want to belabor the point and talk for a really long time, so I'm just going to let Julia do some talking and just share some life updates. And so let me ask it this way. Julia, now that we're here on the podcast, do you want to give some life updates? What's some big things that are coming up for you in the near future?
Well, I'm getting married.
It's going to be a big deal.
in 10 days, at least from when we're recording this. So that's pretty crazy.
So, if you know, Julia did a podcast several years ago, about being single on the mission field, and so she can't do that one anymore. And so, in 10 days, she won't be single anymore. But she did have a lot of good insight. So, Julia, how long have you been here with us serving in ministry?
Well, I came out on my first mission trip in 2014, and I moved out here in 2017.
So, 2014. First time, did you say that was the intern, or that was your first mission trip?
That was my first mission
Then
trip.
you came back in 15, did the internship, and then moved in 17. So 9 years, it's 2026, so 9 years you've been here full time. And so pretty much your entire adult life, right? This has been your calling, your career, what God's led you to do. You went to school for this. I mean, you got a communication degree in undergrad, but then you went on into seminary and graduated with a degree in
global engagement.
Global engagement, a fancy way of saying working with people of other cultures to share the gospel, and it's really cool. And so this is kind of what your whole life has been formed around up to this point. But we also know that life has seasons and changes, and things happen, and marriages come, and so and Julia has that coming up. And so on May 16th, she will no longer be Julia Curtis, but Julia
Holtz.
Julia Holtz with an Z at the end, or an S?
A Z.
Not Holtz with a Z, so get it right. And so, which is going to be weird, but we're really happy for her, excited for her. I know that's been something that she has prayed through and sought the Lord in for years. God, what are you calling me to? Are you calling me to marry? Are you calling me to stay single? And God opened the door and led her to her husband's name, her future husband's name, Luke, and he loves the Lord as well. And so her role in ministry is going to change a bit, and I just want to give her an opportunity to share a little bit about that.
Yeah, so after I get married and come back, I'll be transitioning to a new role with the ministry. Just thinking about my future and moving a little bit further away. Just what I'm currently doing wasn't going to be the best fit, but I will still be on the team, which is exciting. I'm going to be our director of resource development, which is just a fancy way of saying I'm going to be asking people for money.
So look her up. She's going to be hitting you up for money.
Yeah, but I'm going to be doing the fundraising, at least a bulk of it for the ministry, and then also doing some biblical counseling for the ministry as well.
Yeah, awesome. And so that's going to take effect pretty much right after Julia gets married. Her last full-time days will be just the week before her wedding, and so she'll still do Bible study in Covered Wells one more time and do ministry in Cocklebur as well, and we'll still fill in from time to time even after this season. But for her day-to-day life, it's going to change. For the last 9 years, she has been day in and day out on the reservation, doing Bible studies, youth stuff, all kinds of different things. I mean, of course, you guys, if you listen to the podcast, know the ministry, you know how important she is to us and to the ministry. And so, but she is transitioning to the director, of resource development. Now, how did we get here? I don't know. It was in 2020, I guess. Yeah. Us three sat down and realized this is cool. Like that the ministry had grown. Like when we first started, Brittany and I, and then Julia came on, and the ministry was just kind of not that it was smaller, but it was more manageable, both financially and just geographically, structurally, the way we had it set up. But our heart has always been to get the gospel into as many communities as possible, consistent gospel presence. And then in end of 2020, we took on a property, the Love Ministries Center in Arizona. Here in Arizona, we have another center in Malawi as well. And then we took that on, and so that came with it some cost, and then our motor pool upgraded. We got some new vans and all that kind of stuff. And so we reached this point where it was like, okay, we're going to have to develop some ministry partners beyond just the ones that we have. And the ones that we have are awesome. And we've had some ministry partners since day one, and that have stayed with us all the way through. And so we thought in 2020, like, let's find somebody who can do this position, right? And so y'all remember that conversation sitting in the office?
Yeah. I think the thing is it's like a very unique position because as missionaries, we all raise our own support. And so we're raising our own support to live and function as missionaries, but then the ministry has the other aspect of like you just said, like a ministry facility and ministry vans. And so having somebody to help do that, but then it's like, who can actually do that knows the ministry well, that can communicate with others, that doesn't have a job doing something else. It's just all very complicated.
Yeah.
And so as we were having the conversation, we're like, this is what we need, but we don't know how the Lord will provide it for us because of just how specific the job is and how just the time that it would take. And so like having somebody work somewhere else full time and then try to do this on the side seemed like, I don't know if that was going to work either. So we were just like, how in the world is this all going to happen?
Right. And so it had to be somebody who knows the ministry well, because you can't be having somebody advocate for the ministry that doesn't know it. And so it just never really came to fruition. We sort of filed it away. We kept the job description and just sort of left it there. And so we have a lot of overhead, not only the physical facilities that we talked about, but any events that we do, any outreach that we do, either comes from a specific grant that we've maybe gotten from someone, or it has to come out of the support that we raise as missionaries. And so most everybody knows this, but as Brittany said, we all raise our support to live on. And so we're not funded by an outside source. We're not funded by a mission board. We're not funded by one church, kind of pays our whole salary. And so all of our team, all 5 missionaries that are full-time here in Arizona, raise our own support. And so it was going to be a little bit awkward to go, like, say, for example, speak at a church and be like, thank you for supporting our ministry so my family can live and stay on the mission field. Now can you give us more money to do ministry? And so, like, it's our life as ministry, but we also have ministry things to do. And so it was like this weird thing. And it's always been difficult. We've done podcasts about that too, especially when we did the 5 Things Missionaries Wish You Knew. And that was like talking about the dynamic of raising support and staying on the field. Because let's just say, for example, we all said, okay, we're going to then try to find new partners that can fund the ministry and not have a person that does this. Like, we have 40, 50, 60 hours a week normally. How are we going to find the time to then devote another, and then if you're speaking at a church, they meet on Sundays. We meet on Sundays twice, right. and if they meet on Wednesdays and you go for a business meeting at a church or something, we also meet on Wednesday,
Right.
And so we have a full-time job to raise our own support, full-time job to carry to do the ministry day in and day out, counsel with people, and there's so many complexities that go. And so it was like, how do we do this? Mm-hmm. And so kind of tell us how it sort of came, like, this is what you're going to do. Like, how did we get here?
Yeah, so basically we were in a meeting one day, and Eric was pretty blunt and was like, we're growing exponentially and this is great, but also our budget is not growing. And so if we don't figure out a way to raise more money soon, we're going to have to cut back on some things. And, as we've mentioned, it's grown a lot. In Malawi, like, a lot of stuff has grown, and also in Cambodia. And so if you weren't aware of that, we're not just doing ministry here in Arizona, but overseas as well. And to lose any of those ministries, or just part of those ministries, would be devastating, because we're impacting, thousands of people. And so we were brainstorming different ways, and, as Eric mentioned, that's all very time consuming. Everything we would come up with was either going to be really time consuming, or it wasn't going to raise a lot of money.
Yeah, we're not the greatest at, like, creative fundraising ideas.
Yeah, it's like, oh, that'll get us $200. That's really gonna go far.
That's a tank of gas.
Yeah, these days. And so as we were talking, I was just thinking, I remembered that we, about 6 years ago had kind of foresaw this being an issue and had thought of that being a role. And at the time, I knew I was getting married, and knew I wasn't going to continue doing what I was doing. And I was like, wait a minute, like, could this be something that I do as my job for Love Ministries? Like, I obviously know the ministry really well, not just in Arizona, but have gotten to go to Malawi and have gotten to go to Cambodia, so I can speak to those things as well. Like, I like talking.
Communication is great.
Yeah. I can apply for grants and stuff like that. Like, I took one of those classes in college, and I was like, could this be something that I do? And so just as we started talking, we were like, yeah, like, maybe this could work. Something we didn't talk about is we're all from Western Kentucky. And so even when we do try to raise more support for the ministry, or even just for ourselves, because we lost support, it's hard, because we all know mostly the same people, because we're all from the same area. And with me moving to the Phoenix area, I'll be meeting a lot more new people, having different connections, just in a different part of the country, because obviously while we're here in Arizona, we spend most of our time doing ministry on the reservation or with resettled refugees, where I'd be meeting just completely different people that don't know of the ministry, and that would, hopefully want to come along and see all the good things that God is doing and want to partner with that. So
yeah. And so, yeah, we were talking, like, we knew that Julia's, like, would be transitioning into a different life phase, marriage and all that, but none of us, I don't think any of us were completely comfortable with, like, it being severing, like, okay, she's done, moving on, whatever. I think she didn't feel comfortable about how it was going to close out, and we weren't, like, it was just like we knew that something had to change because of the marriage and her life and all that kind of stuff, but it was never, we never felt a peace about, like, okay, she's done, completely done. And then it was, she said it, we were talking about it, that was a hard, like, I prepared for that conversation ahead of time, because my heart is like, I never want to stop doing anything, and if you know me very well, like, one of my biggest issues is, like, I always want to do more, and it's like, let's do more. This village is open to us now. Let's go here. And everybody's always like, slow down. We only have 7 days in a week, and you've got 14 places for us to go. We're in Phoenix, which is a huge city. We're on the reservation, which is huge. We're on another reservation, which is huge. And the lostness and all that kind of stuff. And then once you get through the original, like, not original, that, like, you're reaching people with the gospel, then the discipleship starts and all that kind of stuff. And it was like, how are we going to keep this going? How can we keep, and it was like, none of us were comfortable with, okay, Julia's just all the way done, right? And so it was, she said it, I had the conversation, hey, we're not going to be able to keep going. it's just the reality, the nature of where we are right now. Economy's tough. People aren't giving like they used to. It's a little harder to get mission teams. It's just being totally honest, like to get mission teams to come because of the cost, and you understand that. And so it was just Julia just kind of blurted it out. It wasn't even like she didn't be like, listen, I have this great idea. It was just like, could I do this?
and then it was like, wait, maybe I should pray for it.
I was like, oh wait, I do need to talk to Luke about this now. I don't just make all my decisions by myself anymore.
And then I kind of felt dumb because I hadn't thought about it. And, and immediately I sat up in my chair like, that's a really good idea. Like, wait a minute. And then my wheels start turning and all of us start working together and it kind of comes to fruition. And it was like, there was a little bit of question like, oh man, can I raise support to raise support? Like, how does that work? Will my current supporters stay on board? And I think for the most part, you've had really good, like she's told most of her all of her supporters, right, at this point. If not, they're going to hear it.
I've gotten an email. I'm making my way down the list on phone calls, but I'm almost done.
Yeah, it's been a pretty positive reception. Right, and then when I went back to visit some churches and talk to people, everybody was excited, about it. Nobody was like, oh, wow, that's weird, or how's she going to do that? It was like, oh, she's getting to stay and invest in the ministry that she loves and has been a part of.
Maybe a little bit like, well, maybe they won't ask us for more money.
Maybe. But we're going to anyway.
Yeah, I think something, too, with that's really just neat, being on the side currently of missions, is just seeing like, oh yeah, like you really can't keep doing missions if you don't have any money. Like you have to have gas in the tank to get to places. Like, especially on the reservation with as much driving we do and all the car repairs and if I can't feed my family, like I have to find a different job. And so just being on that side and just kind of experiencing just some of the challenges of being a support raising missionary, I feel like just helped me realize like this role is like extremely important and vital, because while I may not be the person on the field every day, I get to help make sure that doesn't ever have to stop.
Because I think all of our heart is the ministry goes on long after us.
Yeah.
Like, fast forward 10, 15, 20 years, we're praying not only does the ministry grow in the people that serve with us, and it grows in the sense of people are coming to Christ and being discipled and churches are being planted, and it's healthy in that way, but when God calls us away, calls us home, whatever it may be, that the ministry of Live Love Ministries continues. And that's why we set it up the way we have. That's why we have a board. That's why we're a nonprofit, so that it's not just, hey, if we stop, it stops. Mm-hmm. And so this will also help to do that, to ensure gospel ministry in these areas that I feel like are very much needed continues on long after us. And it gives people an opportunity to invest in the kingdom of God that don't even know about it yet. And that's hard, as a missionary. You're raising support. You feel like you're asking people for money, but every book you read is about support raising is always like, no, you're asking them to invest in the kingdom. And so you really are. And they get to be a part of it. And for the most part, supporters see it as that, like that. Yes, I'm supporting you. Yes, I'm supporting your ministry, but this is about the Lord and His work among the people. He's just called us to be the ones to carry it out. And so super cool. And so she's going to start that pretty soon. And so what are you most excited about? Like, what are you looking forward to? I know it's different, so let's talk about, like, what are you most looking forward to? What are you the most nervous about?
Well, honestly, I'm probably most excited about the biblical counseling, which we haven't talked about yet, in detail. And I think as long as I've been here, or at least pretty early in my time being here, living here full time, I just like noticed just this need for counseling, for a little bit more like one-on-one intense discipleship, if you will, just because we were like seeing people follow Jesus and get baptized, and it was like exciting, but then it was just like their past just continued to trip them up, and it just like kept being a thing, because you start following Jesus and you're a new creation, and that's great, but you really haven't learned some of those like coping mechanisms when things get hard, of like, well, now I don't run to drugs or alcohol like I run to Jesus, and actually processing through your past. So when you're triggered, it's not like detrimental to where you're at in your walk with God right now. And like it's funny because even when I was in seminary, I kept going back and forth on if I wanted to do missions or if I wanted to do biblical counseling. Like I wrote a paper on like sanctification and PTSD, and so I'm like super excited to continue to like I'm excited to raise money for the ministry, but I'm also just really excited that I'll still be able to have that face-to-face ministry. And I think even just in the past couple of years, seeing there's been a handful of people that have started going to biblical counseling, and just how that has been completely life-changing for them. It's just been so incredibly helpful. But it's also been challenging because it's like the person that does our biblical counseling is great, but he also lives in the Phoenix area. And so if it's somebody on the reservation, I mean, as we're recording this today, I drove an hour to go pick somebody up, drove an hour here so that they can meet with the counselor, and then I'll drive her an hour back home and an hour to get, like, just
so
to
1, 2, 3, 5 hours just for an hour of counseling.
Yeah. Just one person. And so just to be able to kind of remove some of those barriers of like, they don't have a ride to counseling, like I can drive to people, they can't afford counseling, like since I'll be going through the ministry, like I can provide that for free, because I'm support raised, to just hopefully see more and more people walking faithfully with the Lord in a healthy way that's, I don't know, just sustainable. Because if somebody is in a good spot spiritually, then they're going to be much more effective at reaching their community with the gospel. And it's also just in their best interest.
And all the people that we work with, come out of very, very difficult situations historically. Native people, for example, part of my dissertation and my doctoral work was over historical trauma and how that carries on. And, or with refugees, for example, they have come from terrible, terrible situations, and on the outside things look good, but when somebody comes to Christ, we know also that life also gets difficult. Even just because you're a Christian doesn't make all the past go away like it never happened. And so those things resurface, and then just the size of the reservation too. And so we go out into community, we share the gospel, people come to Christ, they're part of a body or Bible study, and then we are not there the rest of the week, and they're very remote, very alone, and in areas where there are very few believers, there's not a great support system to say how do we process this together, how do we process it in a biblical way, that kind of stuff. So it's both counseling and discipleship kind of all bundled in one, and then a connection more to the body too, to other believers, at least in that sense of having somebody speak truth into your life to work through some of those past situations. And so I don't think a week goes by that we don't talk to somebody and it's like, man, this person or this group of people really need some focused counseling, right? Like to work through some of this stuff more than we can often give them in the few hours, 3, 4, 5 hours that we're in a village, or the 2 hours we're there for a Bible study, whatever it may be. Here we are teaching the word, but we know that there are individuals and communities and villages, whatever, even in Phoenix, people that need something deeper, and Julia is going to be able to focus on that. And so continue raising support for herself, raise support for the ministry, but also do some counseling face-to-face with people, and maybe through the internet if it's possible. But I'm excited about that too, because that's always been kind of that one area that we couldn't address effectively. Like, we're passionate, like we all know what our gifts are. We're good at, that sound arrogant, I didn't mean it to sound that way, but we're good at what we're doing, what God's gifted us at, like we focus on those things. But we have never been able to really address this issue, ministry-wise. And now we're able to do that too. I'm excited about that as well. So, Brittany, you have any thoughts on it?
Yeah, just exactly what you said. I know we have had countless conversations of like, this is a need. Do we, specifically start putting out like a job description for this specifically? Because honestly, it could be a full-time job in and of itself.
Sure, yeah.
Which isn't going to be, like Julia just said, she's going to be doing both things. and I don't know, maybe one day it might transition to it, that's what it is. I don't, who knows what the Lord has in store for everything, but just in general, this is also, I think, an answer to prayer because of the countless conversations that we've had, and it's just like, like you just said, like we may be in Bible study, but we're in with a group of people, and we know that one person needs more one-on-one discipleship / even further in the counseling aspect. And it's like, how do we effectively do this when we have so many different things happening, so many different responsibilities? It's just like we can't do all things, and realizing like we do have limits. And so I think we've also been praying like for the Lord to fill this position, and look at the Lord. I mean, honestly, like it's like we prayed and he listened, or he heard it, like
it has taken a while, so it caused us to trust, in that, and so and so I'm excited about both aspects. And so what are you most nervous about? Like, what would be, because it's kind of uncharted territory. I don't know anybody else that does it in the way that you're going to do this, and so kind of what are some things you're nervous about, people can be praying about, those kind of things?
Yeah, I think I'm nervous about how I used to be the one teaching the Bible study. And then it's like, oh, this person really needs counseling. And I was like, I will be the counselor. Which I'm doing some more schoolwork for it. So I'm sure it'll be fine. But it is just like kind of like a funny realization of like, oh, I'm that person now.
Now I can call you and be like, hey, this one is for you.
Yeah, usually I do that with Eric. So. But yeah, so I mean, and I think that's like a good thing in a sense too. Like I shouldn't have it all figured out, and it'll be new to me, and there'll be a learning curve just like there is with anything. So yeah, probably that. And we have some goals for like fundraising, and so just like the first year and figuring it all out, I'm like, oh man, like I hope I raise a good amount.
Somebody's probably listening and be like, what's a good amount?
I got $200, guys.
Yeah.
For this year, I raised $200.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it's all new, and obviously being married will be new, and I'm moving to a new city is new, and so it's just a lot of newness at once. But I think in a way, like, the Lord's been kind in just reminding me that, like, when you're uncomfortable, that's when you grow the most. And I feel like recently, in the past year or two, I've just gotten pretty comfortable with what I was doing and where I was in life. And so, growing's not always fun, but it's like, this will be a good thing, because I want to look more like Christ, and change usually produces a lot of spiritual growth. So
that's good. So as you're thinking kind of, hey, this is what I'm going to do, where are you going to start? Like, what's your, somebody wants to talk to you, somebody wants to get a hold of you, where are you going to start? Like, where do they start? Where are you going to start? How are you going to hit the ground running? Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think, well, first thing to do is to get rid of the bug on my computer.
Julie needs a computer. Speaking of fundraising.
That's like number one priority. But then I'm really going to hit the ground running, I think, just in like, honestly, just doing a lot of research, since it is so new, of like, what do I think would be the most effective in raising money, because I do want to put on at least one event in the fall, and that'll be here before we know it. And so kind of just focusing in on like, what do I think is going to be the best way to get more people to hear about our ministry and to want to come alongside, and really plan like a good first event that will hopefully be successful. Sorry than that. And just like really get the ball rolling, because it's like, if you have a good first event and a lot of people show up, then they tell their friends about it. And so I just want to start things off well there, and then also just continuing my schoolwork for counseling, so I can start that soon. So
open to ideas? Like, so if somebody's listening to this and they're like, hey, I've worked with a mission organization and we did this event and it helped us.
Yeah, like I have some ideas, but I'm definitely not like sold on them. That's kind of why I want to do a little more research. Like, think we have a golf scramble in Kentucky, so that's an option. I know some ministries do like banquets. I heard of some people do a tea party, which sounds fun for me, but I don't know how much money it's going to raise.
I'm glad that's not my job.
So, yeah, just really thinking through, like, what will it cost to put on this event and how much could it potentially bring in realistically, and just kind of comparing and going from there.
Okay. So when you're done, let's talk about counseling a second. So when you're done with your counseling education, what does that certification look like? What are you? Are you?
So I've talked to somebody who's the director of a counseling organization in Arizona, and since I already have my seminary degree, talked to a couple people actually. They both thought it would be kind of overkill in me like going and getting a second degree, since I have a lot of like that biblical knowledge. I guess that's what biblical counseling is pointing people back to God's word and how it applies to their life and their situations. So I'm getting a certification. Oh my gosh, I had the thought and then I just got nervous. It's ABC. Okay, there we go. Association of Biblical Counselors. Certification is what I'm getting, and so it's self-paced. 10% done, which is not great, but I've been trying to finish this role well and plan a wedding and moving cities and all the things, and so I think once I'm settled in and don't have to plan a wedding ever again, I'm excited to be able to knock it out because I do enjoy the material.
You want to give it the attention it deserves, not just skimming
for
it.
Sure. Yeah, because I want to counsel people well. I don't want to skim through it and have 20 other things on my mind. So yeah.
And she said finish well, and I think that's something that's always been on my heart too. Like in any ministry endeavor, you want to finish well. I feel like how you finish the ministry says as much about you as how you started it and what you did while you were there. And so I feel like you've handled that well. It's been excuse me, we've known for a few months, Brittany and I, and most of our team has known for the last several months, and so, but we've slowly told people the ministry roles, and it's been it's gone well. It's like received well, and people understand it. Obviously, there's some sadness and some, oh man, really, whatever, but it's been received well, and so I feel like the closing out has been good, but it also helps a lot to say I'm still going to be involved, in these roles, and so. Okay, I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit as we get ready to kind of close it out. 9 years, what have you learned? Like, what sticks out to you? There's a lot to learn. What are you taking with you? You spent 9 years full-time missions. Like, that's pretty cool. Like, to say I spent 9 years, better part of a decade.
I know. I'm like so missionary. Happy I met Luke when I did, but I'm also like, dang, it would have been cool to make it to 10 years.
Hold on.
Postponing the wedding. Just kidding. Gosh, what have I learned?
I don't know. There's so much to take with you. I know you could say I've learned this, and because you came in as a young, not a kid, but just barely out of college, and now you've grown into an adult, like in your 30s now.
30. 30.
I like to remind her that she's in her 30s now. But now, as an adult, looking back over the last 9 years, what are some highlights, something you learned? I don't know, just...
Yeah, I think I've just learned to just see the world in a different way. I think when we grow up a certain way, and this is for everybody, no matter how you grow up, no matter what culture you grow up in, what country, what your family's like, it's easy to just think that you have the world figured out and what works best figured out. And obviously, like, I'm not talking about like the gospel. Like, that is truth and that's what we build our life on. But just, I think sometimes we can see the world as like a scary place, or people are like, well, why do people act a certain way, or why do people do this, whether it's like something as simple as the food they eat or the way they talk or the way they communicate. And I just think about all the people I've met, like here in Arizona and all around the world, and just like how amazing it is that we like serve the same God, like the very same God created us, even though we maybe don't speak the same language, or we prioritize things differently, we eat differently. I don't know, like it's just given me such a heart for like people, and just has made me want to be a learner of the person and not just go into situations thinking I have it all figured out. Like I said, I have the gospel figured out, and I know that's what everybody's need is. I don't know. Am I making any sense?
Yeah, it makes sense a lot. Yeah.
Like, there's been this, like, this is so dumb, but there's been, like, this trend on Instagram Reels lately, but it's, like, people are like, oh, like somebody says, like, oh, this place is dangerous or whatever, and then it's, like, the people saying that are the people that have never been there. Yeah. And it's, like, there's just so many amazing people that I've met, that I like love with like my whole heart. Like I think about my Bible study in one of the villages, and it's like I grew up like very sheltered, learned my cuss words off the bathroom stall behind a shelter. And then it's like
there's some good ones in there.
And I'm like sitting here doing Bible study with people who their family business was like drug trafficking, you know, like we're just come from like completely different backgrounds, but we have the same God, and we love God, and we love each other, and we're family. And I just think it's like, dang it. It's just like the most beautiful thing. And I don't know, I think for a long time, like I obviously, if you know me well, you know I like struggled like with my singleness, and I'm just like so grateful that I was obedient to God's calling and just like went all out and just loved as many people as I could and shared the gospel with as many people as I could, because it's just been so much fun.
Yes. So that's in one of the villages, and we've been with Julia sitting in Malawi inside a refugee camp, or in the school. We've been with Julia in Cambodia to see the girl that learned her cuss words off the bathroom stall is on the other side of the world. You know, and it's cool. It's been cool to see you grow up, but also to grow in the Lord. And I think had you went straight from college to biblical counseling, it wouldn't be the same, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying it couldn't have worked or whatever, but now you see the world completely different. And that's one of the things we tell people. The people that you minister, they don't see the world the same way you do. And so you come in as a learner, and I think God has grown you in that area over the last several years of like, how do I learn not just to share the gospel? Yes, that's our primary focus, and to disciple people, but also just to be a good friend and a good neighbor, and to love their culture so that I can walk alongside them as somebody and see them as somebody who's created in the image of God. And so I love it. And so good. That was good. I put her on the spot. I did not tell her I was going to ask her that, and I was afraid she might break down, but she didn't. She did good. So
just a couple of tears.
Yeah. So, any thoughts, Brittany?
Yeah, I don't really want to say too much either, because I think I'll get emotional about it. But I mean, I do agree with what she said. I can see how the Lord has grown her in all of those things through the years, and I do think it's cool how like now looking back you can be like, I can see how the Lord orchestrated my life, and while I didn't understand everything at the time, and it was my desire maybe for marriage or whatever earlier than this, but I can see like the Lord in every detail and just how good he is.
That's awesome. So cool. We got to share your story. So now it's official. It's been official, but it's more official now. And all the 10 listeners we have will know. And I'm kidding. I'm teasing. All of our family will now know that already knows. Okay. And so Julie's going to start this role soon. And so we're closing out. this season, moving to a new season and starting this role. And so, as you're listening, if God has led you to want to partner with us in that way, reach out to Julia. I mean, she'll talk to you right now. I've already tried passing off people to her, but that was people that wanted our money instead of wanting to give us money. And so, but reach out to her, reach out to us, and we'll direct you in the right way. Obviously, we're going to keep raising support as individuals, and so if you're hearing this, please don't stop doing that. But if you are a follower of Jesus and you're like, man, I don't partner with this ministry in that way, and you want to, we would love you to do that. If you have a business and you're like, hey, I could be a sponsor for this or a support in this area, if you specialize in something, any of that stuff, we just want to grow that area so that we have a greater investment in the kingdom of God, and so the work in Arizona and around the world continues. And so Julia's going to lead that. Looking forward to that. Be praying for her. Her wedding is in, did you say 10 days, 9 days, 10 days? And then she starts that new journey as well. We didn't even have a chance to talk about that. And so what she's most excited about, you'll have to ask her. When you call her to give her money, ask her, what she's excited. And so, anything else, ladies?
I think just also praying for our whole ministry, because we're all transitioning to without, what Julia's normal roles have been. And so I think we're figuring out what that looks like too. And so, just praying for us and praying if there are other people that should be joining our team in the future, that the Lord would give us wisdom and discernment in those areas, and also for those people. I mean, maybe you're listening and that's you. Yeah. You never know.
Maybe you could come in following Julia's footsteps. And so she's still going to serve on our board and help us with some decision making and stuff. But as Brittany said, we'll be figuring it out as well. Somebody asked me, you're going to be sad to lose Julia in the day today, and I'm like, yeah, would you be sad to lose your right arm? She's been a crucial role. And I think sometimes even in life, you take people for granted that are there all the time, and then when they're not there, you're like, oh man, what am I going to do? So pray for us as we figure that out. And so just wanted to share this update with you. Hope you enjoyed it. You can share it with other people, and as the things develop, we hope to share more in the future. So see you later. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Love Ministries podcast.
We hope it was encouraging, made you think, and broadened your understanding of our mission and the mission of making disciples of all nations. You can find out more information about our ministry at www.liveloveministries.org.
If God leads you to partner with us financially through prayer, or if you're interested in bringing a mission team to Arizona or one of our other locations, you can find that information on our website as well. Until next time, keep loving people and keep pointing people to Jesus, and we'll see you then.